I have another just sitting down talking video today, I guess. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna end up editing and uploading, but I don't know, I just feel stuck, and usually when I feel stuck, it's because there's things in my head that I have to just get out first, and then I can go back to whatever it is I really want to do. And I have kind of a sad topic today. I mean, if you just read it, you might think that it's kind of sad, but I don't think it's that sad. I think there's a lot more sadder things out there currently happening in the world, but if if you're not like familiar with this kind of thing, then it might seem sort of sad, but let me explain. So, nobody died. It's not like that sort of thing. I mean, obviously, I have parents. I was born somehow. I didn't just appear on the earth. I wasn't made in a lab, as far as I know. I do have parents. I know them. I grew up with, like, one of them. My parents both had kids from previous marriages. They got together kind of late in life. They met on, like, a video dating site in the 80s. I was unplanned, but it wasn't like they were trying to prevent it from happening, I guess. And I was the youngest. I have like four brothers who are all a lot older than me. The one that's closest to me in age is like 9 years older than me. And the three that are older than that, I've only met them a few times, so I don't really know them. And then the other one that's closer to me in age, I grew up with him until he moved out when I was like still a kid. Like I wasn't sure if it's preteen or still a kid, but I was like 11, 12, so I was like a kid. Um, I guess I should start at the beginning. I was raised by my parent, by my mother, and my dad lived with us on and off when I was really little, and then by the time that I was in like double digits, he didn't live with us at all, and sometimes he would come to visit, but if he came to visit, he was there to see my mother and not me. um, just to be really clear before I start talking more, because it's going to get a little bit weird, I'm not coming at this from like a woe is me, sad, victim-y angle. I actually do have some advice for you if you're in a similar situation, or if you're trying to relate to somebody who is in the same situation as me, this could be helpful to you. I just, honestly, I did my makeup to take a picture for this online magazine I'm trying to create, and I didn't want to waste the makeup, so I was like, what can I talk about in a video? And this has been on my mind a lot since I got engaged. Disclaimers always make me forget what I was saying. I didn't know that my family was weird until I was in my mid-20s. I was studying psychology and I was reading things from a textbook about narcissism or emotional abuse or something like that. And I realized I was reading about myself and my parents and my home life and my childhood, and I was these case studies and these books I was reading, and it was really overwhelming. It was so overwhelming I basically dropped out of university, but there were other things involved. But yeah, it wasn't so much the realization that made me drop out, it was the realization that, oh, I'm gonna have to talk to people like myself forever if I continue with this career path, so cut it. Even when I was a teenager and a kid, I didn't realize that my home life was as weird or as strange and messed up as it was, even though there are things now that people had said to me at that time or said to my parents, or there's just little things now that make sense that didn't make sense then. It just shows that people were actually a little bit concerned, but they weren't concerned enough to really step in. And I don't blame them because honestly, I think it all could have gone a lot worse. I think I came out okay. It's hard because there's like things that I want to talk about that happened to me that I can't really talk about because it's tricky to talk about things even when they're true because sometimes it's like illegal to say negative things about another person. So as long as I don't attach a name to it, I should be okay. So when I was one of my first, well, you know what? I must have been a really annoying kid. I was so annoying that somebody tried to drown me in a bathtub when I was pretty small, and I tricked them, played dead, and held my breath until they let me go. And I can't, obviously, I can't say like who. And I didn't actually remember this until recently, so recently it's in the past couple of years. I mentioned it before, but I used to take a lot of drugs and I quit doing drugs, and then I started remembering basically all the reasons why I took drugs. But only now I had different names for them and I was old enough to understand what they really meant and lots of things like that. So basically, that happened when I was really little, the bathtub incident. So that was kind of, I don't know what the word is, it like overshadowed my whole childhood. I didn't understand it the way I do now, but I understood it in the sense that I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. I knew that I was a burden and unloved, and I knew those things because they were said to me constantly. So I grew up with a lot to prove to anyone who would listen to me, and I was a terrible people pleaser. And I became very like desperate for attention and for friendship and love and everything like that. So I ended up in really bad situations because of that, because I had no boundaries. I had no limits. I just wanted attention. I didn't care what I had to do to get it. I didn't care who I had to hurt. I didn't care how badly I treated myself. I just needed attention from other people. And this isn't a bad thing. And it's hard. It's really hard to not judge people when you see them acting recklessly and, attention seeking and all of this stuff that we really like to look down on people for. But, sometimes, in fact, most of the time, I would say maybe all of the time even, there's a really good reason why they're doing it. And they don't have to tell you. In fact, they probably don't want to tell you because, like, I am having a really hard time telling you this and I really love you. And, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not ashamed of anything. I'm not ashamed of who I am, what I've done, where I've been, where I came from. I'm not ashamed of it. I am saddened and a little bit burdened by it, but not ashamed. Definitely not ashamed. So I don't know why I feel so talking about it. I feel yucky thinking about it and talking about it, and I feel like everybody just wants me to shut up and never bring it up again. But honestly, some people have children and they're not supposed to because they have no intention of teaching that child how to be a person, and they don't want that child to grow up to succeed. They want it to be a punching bag for themselves. Sorry. Narcissism. When a narcissistic person becomes a parent, sometimes a thing that they do is choose one child that represents everything good about themselves. And that's the golden child, and they shower all of their love and affection onto that one child. And that child can do no wrong. Wreck a car? No big deal. Want to live in my house? Not pay rent? No big deal. Go right ahead. I'll pay for your school. You want to go on a vacation? Pay for that. No big deal. That's the golden child. But then they also have another child which they project all of their negative beliefs about themselves onto, and that is the scapegoat. And the scapegoat can do no right, and everything the scapegoat does is wrong. And they're constantly set up to fail. So I was obviously the scapegoat. And my brother, one of my brothers, was the golden child. So I would compare my relationship with my mother to another relationship I had that was considered very, very abusive on many levels. And that was a relationship I fell into because of how I was raised, and because how you're raised kind of determines what you're going to look for in a partner, in, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or, even a sexual partner. Like, you're going to look for something familiar. So, of course, I ended up with a guy who controlled all of my money, lied to me about really serious things like, I can't say. Basically, like, it's the equivalent of, like, if you had a really serious STD and lied about it instead, even if that person directly asked you, like, hey, do you have gonorrhea? And you're like, no, of course not. I don't have gonorrhea. I've never had gonorrhea. In fact, my doctor told me I can't get gonorrhea. It was basically like that, although it wasn't like an STD. It doesn't. Very bad person. He used to bite me. It's just weird. Sorry, it's kind of like, it's not funny, but like, it's so long ago now that when I think about all of the ridiculousness, I kind of have to laugh a little, because it's just like, what were you doing, you dumb 18-year-old broad? It was stupid. But it's okay. I was stupid for good reasons. So, my mother would set me up to fail all the time, and I don't have enough time to like talk about all of the ways in which she did that. But I can tell you the worst thing she ever did. And that was, she convinced me, I have to leave half of this out, which sucks. But basically, she convinced me to move away. And it's good that I moved away, so this is like bitter. Hey, sorry if everything's changed a little bit. I had to replace my memory card. It filled up, and my cat has moved in behind me, and he is cleaning himself really loudly, which is annoying. Stop it, Venus, go away. Don't be naughty. Go clean your balls somewhere else, please. Seriously, I don't want to hear you licking in the background. I think I was telling you the worst thing my mother did regarding like setting me up for failure. And it was when she convinced me to move away from something that was very good in my life that I had going for me. She convinced me to make a bunch of really bad decisions. And I know, like, you get to make your own decisions, but trust me, when you're raised by someone like this and they're in your ear all the time and they have literal control over everything you do, like control over literally everything you do, I guess is the right way to say that, and they are the source of all of your money and your food and your shelter, like, you listen to them, okay? So I know, stupid me, but we're okay now, aren't we? So we learn things. And then she ended up convincing me to move oh, really far away, put my like self in some kind of situation, and she convinced me that this would be good because she was going to pay for my university. And this is important because I'm an immigrant, not eligible for student loans at the time that I'm talking about. So I got accepted into university. I honestly think that she didn't believe I would be accepted, and that's why she made this offer. 'Cause she always thinks that I'm really stupid. I'm actually not that stupid, only a little bit. So I got accepted into university, and I sent her, what everything would cost, and she was like, "Oh, well, that's, way too much. I thought it would be this much," which is like, I don't know what was her estimate again? Like she estimated university would be like $100 a week or something like that. It was, but I'm the stupid one. I don't understand it either. Enough about all of that. And yeah, what is it actually like to grow up without parents? So I think at some point in your late teens or your early 20s, you kind of like realize that you're this autonomous being. You can actually make decisions and they actually have consequences and they influence your environment and everything like that. So I don't know what it's like for other people, but for me, when I kind of had that moment and I realized, like, oh shit, I could walk out the door, buy a train ticket, and never come back. And when I realized that, there were like all of these like other things involved too. It was like, how do you explain? It's like if like realizing you're fully autonomous in your late teens, early 20s is like starting a game of Monopoly. Like it's like life, but you're starting this Monopoly game. It's like I started in jail. Everyone else seems to have already gone around a couple of times. They're doing okay. They seem to know what they're supposed to be doing. I don't know how to do anything. Part of having a parent without your best interest at heart who really doesn't care if you live or die, part of that is they don't really teach you anything. They don't teach you how to survive, and I don't know if this is true for everyone, but mine liked to do this thing where she would find something that like she would wait till I asked her how to do something. I remember specifically, I asked her how I was supposed to microwave soup one time because I was 12, starving, and I didn't know how to microwave soup, and it was like the only thing we had in the cupboard, and I was really really hungry, so I was like asking her like, how do I make this happen for me? And she just told me, use the can opener. I didn't know how to use the can opener. Figure that out. Put it in a bowl and put it in the microwave, but like cover it first so you don't get the microwave dirty. So I went and looked in the cupboards and I was like, okay, well, we have tinfoil and we have tinfoil. Like, that's it. So went back to her and asked her, I was like, is tinfoil okay to put in the microwave? And she didn't answer me. And I know now this is because she was thinking, oh, is my daughter that I haven't taught anything to ever, that I enrolled in Catholic school where they don't learn science? Is she retarded? It's like, no, I wasn't. I literally didn't know anything, and I was asking the only person I could what I should do. This was in the late 90s, by the way. This was actually before I was 12, now that I think about it. Basically, the internet wasn't what it is now. You couldn't just like Google things and have answers. We actually had encyclopedias on our bookshelf, and we had to use those a lot, so that was fun. I grew up really angry, and I still deal with anger now. And it's not as bad now as it was when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, it was really, really bad because I didn't know where it came from. I was just so angry all the time and I couldn't understand it. And I wasn't allowed to be angry, so that really sucked. I never learned how to process anger because I simply wasn't allowed to show it. So I just swallowed it down until I ended up self harming quite a lot in my late teens, mid teens actually. I stopped doing it by the time I was like 17, 18. It always gets worse around holidays. Hallmark holidays are bad. Um, Surprisingly, it got really bad when I got engaged. I didn't realize I'd be thinking about um, how nice it would be to have a family. It makes sense now, but I just didn't. It blindsided me, you know what I mean? I didn't realize it was going to happen. I didn't realize I'd be sitting here thinking, oh wow, I'm actually really sad that there's no one to walk me down the aisle, and things like that. So you get away from them at some point, and you have to. If you have abusive parents or family and you're stuck with them, just know that it's not permanent, it's temporary, and one day you will be big enough and strong enough and smart enough and you'll have everything. That's another thing. Like sometimes you don't always have everything. And when I say smart enough, I mean sometimes I think what I mean is like you won't be scared. Because sometimes you have moments where you could have gotten away, but you didn't do it because you were scared. And I think that's what I mean by smart. I don't think that's the right word. I think I mean you'll be courageous enough. And you'll walk away and you'll never look back. And you'll be surprised at how normal you feel. It's quite alarming, but it doesn't last forever. It's okay, but yeah, there's this first off, when you leave, when you get away from them, there's this awful feeling that you've done everything wrong and that you're a terrible, terrible person and everything they've ever said to you is true. And that's not true, but you have to go and be with other people. You have to be around other people. You have to slowly test the waters by telling them little things you've experienced. And I don't recommend doing what I did, which was going to a lot of parties and taking a lot of drugs and loudly announcing to rooms that someone tried to drown me, blah, 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 blah. Don't do that. It doesn't end well. People will think you're nuts, and rightly so. But, yeah, you have to get around other people. You have to talk to other people, either in person or on the internet. You can go to Reddit. r/raised by narcissists is a really good subreddit for this kind of thing. They have a lot of links on the side for similar subreddits. I love it there. I got a lot of clarity and validation there. And I recommend if you're in that phase where you've kind of finally said enough is enough and walked away from your abusive family, then I recommend going there and having a look. So, after the period of self-doubt and wondering if they were right about you and all of that good stuff, comes the period of feeling very joyful and elated that you've made the decision and wow, my life is so much better than it ever could have been and I can't believe I'm doing all of these things and all of this. But then after that slowly fades, so don't worry about that. That one's nice. But then after that, you kind of look around and you realize that everybody is a lot further ahead than you are. And you start to feel some doubt again and you start to wonder, maybe all those things they said were right, maybe I am a failure, maybe I will amount to nothing. But this is the part that I hate, and I still have trouble coming to terms with this. My life will never be the same as somebody who never experienced this. I play life on hard mode, and that's not good, not bad, it's just a thing. Other people play life on hard mode for other reasons. Not good, not bad, just a thing. The only person who can make my life into something I'm proud of and happy about and excited about is me. And I accept that challenge most days. Some days I just want to lay there and feel sad for myself. And I do that sometimes, but not very often. Don't do that very often. It doesn't make you feel good. You think it's going to make you feel good, and it doesn't. It just makes you feel worse. It makes the voices in your head of your family members come back louder and louder. And wallowing isn't good. We'll just put it there. Wallowing is not good. Yeah, you can feel sad, but don't make a whole afternoon of it, you know, like dust yourself off and do something else. Don't be boring. I used to think that I would get over all of this one day. And I mean, to some extent I have. Obviously, I'm over it enough to the point where I'm not hiding it anymore. I used to actually be ashamed of this and hide it. Not ashamed anymore. I fully accept everything that happened in the past, even the bathtub. And I also fully accept the responsibility that's now placed directly on me to fix it. And I mean, I'm saying this like it's a new thing. I've been working on this for a couple of years now. So I have made a lot of progress. The number one thing, the first thing I had to work on was my tendency to be a people pleaser. This was a really, really big problem. I was being taken advantage of all the time by people. Like, I can't even count. It's embarrassing to me how many times I put myself in positions where I became victimized or taken advantage of, all because I just wanted people to like me. Embarrassing. So I worked on that. And working on that is a little bit hard because people call you nasty names because they're used to you being one way and now all of a sudden you're this way and it's like, what do we do with this? But it's not the worst thing. I don't know if this is related, but I can't maintain friendships, especially with women. I make friends really easy. I'm not mean. I'm not mean unprovoked. I'm very mean if you provoke me. But if I'm mean to you, you've ignored several warnings. So that's on you. Yeah, I don't know if it's related to not having family, not ever learning how to bond with people and maintain relationships and be close to them for extended periods of time. I don't know if it's that. I never learned it. So now I am real lonely, like all the time. But luckily, I have my fiance and my 3 cats, and there's another one cleaning himself. Stop it! I don't want to hear you licking. Stop. Go clean yourself somewhere else. It's weird because that one usually cleans himself in the bathtub because he thinks he's a people. Please stop licking yourself while I'm filming. I still feel insanely jealous when I hear people talk about their families or see happy families around, and I'm working on it because jealousy is ugly, but I'm trying to fix it and not be such a jealous hoe anymore. So every time I do feel jealous, I kind of take myself away from the situation and I sit there and I think a little bit and maybe feel a little bit sad for myself for a little bit and then for a couple of minutes and then go back into it and try to put on a brave face, and then eventually you stop remembering things and you just get on with it and it's no big deal. But yeah, if you are close to somebody who is in the same kind of situation, you know, maybe they don't have a family, maybe they did have a family and they kind of turned their backs on them, or they had to leave because it was too much. There's no one right way to support them. You're gonna have to ask them, and just keep it light. Don't be scared. Honestly, they've probably experienced a little bit worse than somebody asking them how to help them. So don't be scared about talking about things like that with them. One thing to note though, sometimes we have sort of sad stories about traumatic things that happen to us, and sometimes we might feel comfortable opening up and sharing them with you. And this is really, really good. And you are absolutely allowed to say that you don't have the mental capacity to handle it at the moment, that you don't want to hear it. You can even say you don't want to hear it. You're absolutely allowed, but, you know, just try to do it gently and try to explain, like, oh, I have too much on my mind right now. I can't give you my full attention, or I'm just really not comfortable going that deep, or something like that. And if they do happen to tell you a story that bothers you, that makes you upset, and maybe makes you cry, that's okay. And just, they'll probably try to stop talking to you, but if you're okay with it, you can just explain to them that that's alright and they can keep going and you're sorry. You're not trying to make it about you, it's about them, and you're ready to listen. But some of this stuff gets really heavy, so don't go into it if you're not sure that you can handle it. Then I recommend you pass and just offer emotional support without hearing any details, because that's possible, and that's almost preferable. It's not really nice to talk about nasty things that have happened to you, and it kind of makes people treat you different. So not many people will want to share things, and that's okay. You don't have to share things. Like, if you have stories like this, you don't have to tell anyone. You can take that to your grave. But I do recommend that you write about it, either in a journal or like a Word document or something like that, just to help you organize your thoughts. You can delete it right after if you want, or burn it. That's fun. Fire. But I'm gonna go. I'm sorry if this didn't make sense. I'm just trying to organize my thoughts. But I just thought I would talk to you about my experience with that, because honestly, there's not that much that's interesting about me at the moment, and my past is probably the most interesting thing. And I don't think I want to go too far into any more of it. My cats are destroying my bedroom. That is my cue to leave. Thank you very much for clicking on me today. There are so many things here on YouTube that you could have clicked on, but you chose me, and that makes me super happy. I will see you really soon. Bye.